The Duelist Cup is about to start. It starts in just a few days. So I am here to tell you guys what I think the meta is going to look like, what decks are good options, what decks are bad options, which decks you can play, and I'm like, yep, okay, that's fine. So I have devised a tier list here with what I think are the most important decks to talk about. If a deck is not here, it's because I don't consider it good enough. So that answers how I feel about it. We're just gonna talk a little about it. Tier 1 are the decks that I think are gonna be the best, that I think have a chance at winning or placing really highly in the top 10. Tier 2 decks that I think are gonna do okay. They could be good options to get top 100. Tier 3 are decks that might snuck in maybe a couple in the top 100. Maybe are decks that I'm really not sure, but I kind of don't see potential. And those are just decks that I don't think you should play, and decks that I think are just generally bad. And we are gonna start with Malice. For the shock of absolutely zero people, Malice is a tier 1 deck. Shocking, I know. Malice is obviously really good. It is considered by most people the best deck in the format, and it's hard to disagree. The deck is really good going first. It's really good into every hand trap that's not called exactly Artifact Lancia. It's consistent, it's resilient, it's good going second because it has a lot of space for non-engine. The one issue that Malice has for the Duelist Cup is that it's going to be a deck that people are going to focus on. So a lot of people, if not everyone, is going to be playing Lancia in their main deck trying to beat Malice because it's one of the few reliable ways you can actually beat Malice, which makes the deck maybe a little worse. I do think that Malice and Ryzeal, which is the second best deck, we're gonna get there, are really close, okay? I don't think the format is tier 0 as people make it out to be. I don't think that Malice is that much better than everything else. Deck-wise, it is the best deck, but that doesn't mean that it's the deck that's gonna perform the best. So if we take a look right now at high rated, or if you take a look at the Duelist Cup practice rooms, Malice is not the deck that's performing the best. The deck that's performing the best is Ryzeal usually. Malice is still a really good option. Malice is gonna do very, very well in the Duelist Cup, but it might not be that oppressive like people are making it out to be, okay? The next deck we have here is Crystron. Crystron is the current winner of the last Duelist Cup, piloted by Tasuku, both in the Synchro Cup and in the regular WCQ. So I wanted to talk about it as the current champion, and I'm gonna put it in don'ts. Don't play Crystron. Crystron doesn't have any good matchups, doesn't have a good Malice matchup, doesn't have a good Ryzeal matchup because the Millennium cards are not good into Ryzeal. It cannot really handle any of the other decks in the format. Don't play it. Don't play it. Like, you can build this deck with, like, Chaos Hunter to try to beat Malice. It's not going to work versus Ryzeal, which is maybe going to be even more popular than Malice in the Duelist Cup. We have Regenesis here as the next option. I think Regenesis is probably a maybe deck. It's not great. It's just stun with extra steps. It hasn't been performing well in ladder. It hasn't been performing well in the dual rooms. It's just not that good. It's just kind of like stun. It goes first. It can sack cards, Solemns, and activate a few floodgates like Skill Drain or have Chaos Hunter for Malice. But that's not great always. The end board is beatable if they don't have the floodgates. Is not that good. And stun is also like just a maybe. Stuns is the type of deck that sometimes maybe performs in the Duelist Cup. Don't think that's the time for it. Malice is really good into floodgates generally. Malice is one of the few decks that can actually just out skill drain by summoning like one engine card, which is Scriptor. It doesn't need anything else to out skill drain, and it's good into a lot of the floodgates that they play. So if Stun tries to play Gozen, it doesn't do anything. Rivalry doesn't do anything. And then the floodgates that are good into Malice are not great into Ryzeal. Next deck here is Branded. Branded is eternally a tier 3 deck in my opinion. Branded can do really well in the Duelist Cup if piloted by like 3 players in the world. The deck is in an okay spot, I think. The deck has a good Ryzeal matchup. Engine versus engine, Branded into Ryzeal is pretty solid. Popping the Branded cards doesn't do that much, because they just like fuse from grave, and then you fuse the Mirror Jade, and then if you pop the Mirror Jade, they blow up your board, so it's pretty good. The big issue with Branded is that it does not want to play versus Malice a lot of the time. It really doesn't want to play against Malice, One thing that I think is a good thing for Branded is that a lot of Malice players are starting to cut Dominus Impulse because it doesn't do anything against Ryzeal. So that's a kind of like a small buff for Branded because one of the best hand traps against you are kind of being cut, but still your engine is just not good into Malice. Like, your engine is just not good into Malice. Mirror Jade banishing a Malice name doesn't do anything because it just comes back. And then they summon Whitebinder, and then they get rid of all your follow-up because all of your follow-up is in the graveyard. So even the big thing of Branded of being able to interact, not die, and everything the graveyard triggers, and you have infinite follow-up, does not happen versus Malice because they have Whitebinder. So it's kind of in a rough spot because of that. And the next deck we have here is Ryzeal Magistus. This, in my opinion, is the top 2 decks in the format. We have Malice and we have Magistus Ryzeal. Those are the 2 best decks, in my opinion. What does Magistus do that it's better than normal Ryzeal? Which I'm gonna put just behind Magistus. I think they're really close. I think this one is slightly better. Magistus is better a little bit because it simply gets better consistency cards. So when you're playing normal Ryzeal, you're forced to play 7th Ascension, which is a card that's very bad into draw. It creates for more redundant hands where you have 7th Ascensions and you have 7 Tachyons, which do the same thing. If you are playing Magistus, instead of having 7th Ascension, you have Spenta. And Spenta gets you to like 4 rank 4 bodies, right? Which is really good. Which is really, really good. And hand trap wise, both decks run basically the same amount. Maybe Pure Ryzeal can run 2 non-engine more, kind of. So you're still playing the same amount of non-engine, but this deck has more pushes into board because Spenta is really good push because Spenta generates a lot of bodies. And you don't depend that much on 7th card, so your hand quality gets better, so your going first gets better. And if you have Spenta compared to having 7th Ascension, that's also better into draw. So there's a lot of things that you get from playing the Magistus cards. So that's why I'm putting it slightly ahead of Pure Ryzeal. But again, it's Ryzeal. It is the best deck in the second best deck in the format. Maybe the best deck, depending on who you ask. It has been performing better than Malice in dual rooms and in high rated. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ryzeal won the Duelist Cup. I wouldn't be surprised. Not at all. I would not be surprised if instead of Malice, the first place was Ryzeal. And the top deck, the top 10 was mostly Ryzeal. I wouldn't be surprised. And I could see that happening. So the next deck here is Voiceless Voice. Voiceless Voice is a maybe. Voiceless has one good thing. It's pretty solid into Malice exactly. Into Malice exactly, it's pretty solid. Because Soravis is a really good interaction. The issue is, it cannot go second, basically ever. And it's really bad into Ryzeal. But it still performs decently well just because of how good it is into into Malice. So you can build Voiceless with Lancias, Orange Lights, just everything to try to be Malice, and when you go first to set up Soravis, then it's really hard to beat. I think it's a maybe. I wouldn't play it, but maybe if you only queue into exactly Malice and you win your coin flips, you can do pretty well. Next deck, Snake Eye. Don't play Snake Eye. Do not play Snake Eye. Yep, it's just like the worst combo deck in the format. It's just a bad combo deck. Like, there's no reason to play it. It's not good into hand traps, the way that it's built right now. If you get Dominus Impulse on Snake Eye Ash, you never get to Flame Merge, and then you kind of explode. The deck is pretty much dead at this point. Move on to something else. Play Malice, which is just like straight up a better version of Snake Eye. You do the same end board. It's kind of the same end board, but a billion times better. Don't play this deck. Next deck is Gemini Finsmith. Gemini Finsmith is a deck that not that many people know about. It is really popular in the OCG right now. Between a lot of the OCG players, Task has been playing it, Stellar has been playing it, and I think is good. Solid tier 2 deck. The idea of this deck is that you're gonna go first. It is a going first Gemini deck, and you're gonna do some sort of FTK, kind of. There is an actual FTK variant. There is a variant that searches Fossil Dyna, and then you actually normal summon it with Seraph Knight. There is a variant that does Mioni Lock, which makes it so the opponent can only special summon artifact monsters, which basically means that they cannot special summon. and there is like another variant that just like that does a big ass end board that you cannot break. It's pretty good. It is pretty good. Why is it not tier 1 if it's that good? I just think that it's kind of worse Malice. You are playing a combo deck that cannot go second that well. Right? That's the big thing. It's not as good as Malice is going second. Maybe it's a little bit better than Malice at going first, but going second is very unreliable. Going second, you don't have that many non-engine you can play. Though you can play some really good ones, like you can play Herald of the Orange Light, which is one of the best like hand traps in the game. It's still not enough to make you win reliably going second. So that's why it's tier 2. Next deck is Herotic Ryzeal. I think it's tier 3, below branded. It's a solid way to play Ryzeal. It has more pushes. It's better into the half board, but it has two big problems in my opinion. Number one, it's bad into draw. And I think a deck being bad into draw is a big problem for this Duelist Cup specifically, because with Ryzeal being that good, and Ryzeal is very, very good, I think draw is going to be a very popular card. If draw wasn't popular, maybe this could climb to tier 2, but it's really bad into draw, and it has a second problem, which is consistency. This deck runs a lot of bricks. Mostly of the Herotic Beast cards are not cards you really want to draw. You don't really want to draw Leo, you don't really want to draw the Advanced Heraldry Art, you don't really want to draw the Whale. So you're adding 5 cards into your deck that you kind of don't want to draw, they are just bricks. But whenever you go X Ryzeal, send Patriarchy, your deck's fucking insane. You have a lot of push. So it does warrant a tier 3 spot. It's also one of the decks that I think can deal the best with Malice when it goes second. Because if you force Malice into a half board with like Charmies, you can go Protoss and just clear, and you don't have to TK them because your Protoss Dark Malice cannot special summon and you win the game, which is kind of cool. Next deck is Tenpai. Tier 3, probably above Ryzeal. I'm gonna say this. This is not the best going second deck in the format. It can still do pretty well. You are playing Tenpai at the end of the day. You can still activate your Charmies, try to draw into Chandra or into Pydra, Sengen summoning, Chandra, boom, boom, boom. It's Tenpai. It's always gonna be decent at least. I do think that right now the best variant of Tenpai is Hand Trap Tenpai, because I think it's the better version that can deal with Malice. Though, and with hand traps, you can still kind of force Ryzeal into a half board where you can beat. So that's probably the best approach to playing this. If you want to play a blind second deck, there's going to be a way better option that I'm going to talk about soon. Isn't Striker Tenpai better into Ryzeal? Striker Tenpai is better into Ryzeal, but it's unplayable into Malice, and it's unplayable into Gemini, and it's unplayable into like a lot of the more combo heavy decks in the format. So I would not recommend it. Next deck's Memento. I think Memento is probably a don't, even though it's way better than everything here. Memento has a good matchup into Ryzeal. It sucks into Malice. It's really bad. It's really bad. It doesn't like to get hand trapped it doesn't like getting hit by Impulse. It doesn't like facing White Binder. It doesn't like the banishes. Don't play this. Don't play this. It's not good. It's really not good. Okay, I guess if like you're a really good Memento player, you can get a little bit farther. And I do think that Memento is like a better deck than those here. So okay, I'm gonna bump it up to maybe. I wouldn't recommend playing it. If you're really, really good at Memento and you get paired mostly into Ryzeal, maybe there's a chance. I guess this is kind of similar to Voiceless Voice in the sense that there's one matchup that you're favored against. And if you cling to that, you can maybe do well. So I guess maybe it's fine. Next deck is the Tier Gemini deck. I think the Tier Gemini deck is one of the better Tier 2 decks, honestly. I think it's below branded. Yeah, below branded. It's fine. Not gonna lie, this is just a worse version of Gemini Finsmith. You're playing basically the same deck, which is Brilliant Fusion Turbo into Finsmith combo. The difference is that this deck FTKs you and you lose. Tier, you can sometimes break the board, and Tier, you run a lot of worse cards and you run less hand traps. This one runs Orange Light, Maxi, and you can even run like more hand traps. This doesn't run hand traps. You just have Orange, Lime, Maxi, maybe Ash, and that's it. You really don't have space for non-engine. So the going second is way worse. And you do have like a lot of worse cards, like a lot of bricks. Snow is kind of a brick. Mudora, Keldo, the tier traps are just not good cards to draw overall. If you want to play a Gemini combo deck, just play Gemini Finsmith. It's just actually way, way better. Next deck here, White Forest. It's just worse Snake Eye. White Forest was worse Snake Eye when Snake Eye was good. So this is worse Snake Eye when Snake Eye is bad. Yep, don't play this. Not much to comment. Next deck, Voiceless Ryzeal. Voiceless Ryzeal, I think, is very underrated. The deck has potential. It's just really underexplored right now. It feels like most Ryzeal players are playing Magistus right now, or Pure. There is one really good Ryzeal player playing with Finsmith, which is Bronas, who has been cooking rated, has been cooking in the duel rooms. I think this deck has space to be good. It has to be proven. I'm going to put this in tier 2. I think it's worse than Magistus, and I think it's worse than Pure. The reason why I think it's worse is because it gives value to Malice cards that you aren't giving otherwise. So when you're playing Finsmith cards, you're making your deck worse into Impulse, and you're making your deck worse into Bestials, which Pure and Magistus don't really get hit by those cards. If Malice has a Bestial versus Pure Ryzeal, it kind of doesn't do that much. Sometimes you can trade with the Detonator if it's Druid Swarm, but it doesn't hit your engine, right? If you're playing Ryzeal, you would rather get hit by Magnemite if you're playing Magistus or Pure. If you're getting hit by Magnemite on Finsmith, it's way rougher. It's way rougher. But the deck still does like a lot of good things well. Like, it cuts a lot of the bricks that Ryzeal plays, so you're not forced to play Star Ryzeal, you're not forced to play Plugin, you're not forced to play Plasma Hole, and you're not forced to play 7th Ascension. This is also one of the better variants into Draw, because if you get Draw, you can still make Finsmith combo, and you can still try to make Finsmith combo plus Detonator instead of just Detonator. So it does have its upsides. I think the big downside is that engine versus engine, Finsmith cards do not like to play versus Malice cards. That's just like the big problem that this deck has. The next deck that we have here is Blind Second Gemini, represented by Dispersion. Blind Second Gemini, I think, is the third best deck in the format. And now I have to decide if I think it's tier 1 or tier 2. I think it's really close. I think it's probably tier 1. I feel confident putting this deck in tier 1. This deck's good. This deck's really good. It has a solid Malice matchup because you can break the Malice board with red reboots and with Lightning Storms and with activating Brilliant Fusion is really good. Like, it's just better Tenpai. Unironically, it's just better Tenpai. It's more consistent than Tenpai. It's better into playing through boards than Tenpai. It's really good. Brilliant Fusion is a powerhouse. It's a powerhouse. It's really strong. You activate Brilliant Fusion, you get a guy that so charges from the extra deck and a Anomaly negating the graveyard. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's so good. It's really good. I do think that this deck has its problems. Number one, you're letting people go first. And make people go first when we have decks like Gemini, which is basically an FTK deck in the format. It is dangerous. So that's why I don't think it's that good. And also, I feel like this deck has a problem which the games are a little bit slower. Personally, I don't think that speed is the most important factor in a Duelist Cup. I think it is a factor. But if your deck has a similar win rate than Malice and Ryzeal, which I think is the case than Gemini, you're just playing a slower deck, which can make you gain points slower. That's, I think, the big problem with Gemini, because you have to watch the cutscene. You're going second every time, and you're just watching cutscenes. So Malice is going to combo, you're going to let them combo, and then you're going to try to break the board. Sometimes you're going to be able to, sometimes you're not going to be able to. But at that point, you already wasted, like, way more time than the Malice guy that normal summoned Dormouse. Opponent didn't have a hand trap, the opponent just scooped. You played a game in you played a game in 30 seconds instead of playing a game in 7 minutes, right? That's the best way to put it. But yeah, you do have like your non-games when you activate Charmies versus those decks and force them to a half board. You activate Brilliant Fusion, they explode. I do think that this is the third best deck in the format, and I think it's a really good choice for the Duelist Cup. And very underrated. Very, very underrated. Next deck we have here is Mermail. If you know me, I am the Mermail guy. I qualified for Worlds with Mermail. I got top 10 in the Synchro Cup with Mermail. And I topped Worlds with Mermail. Maybe. I would not recommend playing Mermail. I am not playing it. The deck does not appreciate this format. It does not appreciate the format. It's not great into what Ryzeal's doing, which is Stylish Baguska. It's not great into Malice. It's not great into a format where people are playing Draw. It's not great into a format where people are playing a lot of Mo Charmies. There's really not a lot of things going for Mermail right now. Because it is beatable going first, because both decks in the format right now run a lot of hand traps. Malice runs a lot of hand traps. Ryzeal runs a lot of hand traps. So the only real good matchup that you have is kind of Blind Second Gemini. That's a matchup that you can probably win most of the time. Everything else, not really. It's really not in a good spot. Really not. Next deck's Blue Eyes. Don't play Blue Eyes. This deck sucks. I know people are gonna ask about Blue Eyes. Don't play Blue Eyes. It's bad into Malice. It's bad into Ryzeal. It's bad into Gemini. It's bad into going first Gemini. It's bad into Branded. It's bad. It's just bad. Don't play Blue Eyes. don't play Blue Eyes. Okay. And the last deck that I want to talk about is Cyber Spile. We got the Ignister card, so some people might be wondering, oh, can I play Nefmag? Can I play Ignister? No. Play Malice. So, that's the tier list. Do you guys agree? I think this format is a little more varied than what people say that it is. People think that Malice is the best deck by far, and then Malice is tier 0. I don't think that's the case. I think we have 3.5 really good decks, because saying that Magistus, Ryzeal, and Ryzeal are two different decks is kind of a lie, right? They're really similar. So we do have 3.5 really cool decks, and Gemini, which is really good also, but slightly worse. This is what I think the format is gonna look like. I'm excited for the Duelist Cup. If you want my opinion, I'm gonna play Malice. I think Malice has a lot of qualities, and I'm gonna be choosing Malice for my run. Let me know what you guys are gonna choose. So that's the tier list.